Legendary professional wrestler Hulk Hogan has died. The WWE announcing on X they are saddened to learn that the Hall of Famer's passing, calling him one of pop culture's most recognizable figures. The 71-year-old, whose real name was Terry Gene Bollea, made his wrestling debut in Florida back in 1977. Shortly after, what was called Hulkamania helped usher in the 1980s wrestling boom. Hogan also notably took the stage on the final night of last year's Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
NBC News correspondent Joe Fryer is following this for us. What more do we know, Joe?
Yeah, so we do have a statement now from the city of Clearwater, which is where Hulk Hogan lived. And it said the nature of the call that was made, 911, was a cardiac arrest. He was treated by Clearwater Fire and Rescue crews, taken to a hospital, and that's where he was pronounced deceased. We are expecting to have a news conference with Clearwater officials about an hour from now. But when you talk about the world of professional wrestling, which has been around for decades, this is the biggest name ever. Yeah. And this is also the person who took it from something where there were sort of like local wrestling chapters all around the country and regional folks would go and see there, to something that was national, to something that kids were suddenly a part of, that families were going to together. They had Hulkamania. They would hear him talk about, kids say your prayers, eat your vitamins. His matches, whether it was with Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, which many consider perhaps the greatest professional wrestling match of all time, all of those things have just added to his legacy. He had controversies over the years. You might recall that Gawker published parts of a sex tape of his more than a decade ago. He sued and won millions and millions of dollars in that lawsuit. Some would say that's the reason that Gawker is no longer with us anymore. There were controversial racist comments he made years ago. For a time, he was actually removed from the Hall of Fame of the WWE, but he made amends and he was inducted back into the Hall of Fame a few years ago and continued returning to WWE programs, making appearances, which always got fans very excited. And then, of course, there was the politics. He did not shy away from his support for President Donald Trump. And you saw that part of that speech you just aired from the RNC there. That was a key speaking slot on television that night, which showed some of the strategy of maybe perhaps trying to appeal to some of these younger men to try and build up support for President Trump last year.
Joe Fryer, Hulk Hogan, dead at the age of 71. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.